Welcome to the inaugural episode of That Bitchin' Real Estate Podcast. Today's episode has the legendary Chelsea Peitz.
Get ready for the real estate show that takes you across the barriers and into the danger zone. That Bitchin' Real Estate Podcast with your host, Tenacious T.
All right, you guys. That was That Bitchin' Real Estate Show's intro video. What do you think?
It's very you. I love it.
I love that you're your own cartoon. I love it.
Yes. If I could get a doll later for those listening, that would be fantastic too.
A bobblehead. You need a bobblehead.
Yes, I'll take a bobblehead. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I have to admit I stalk you just a little bit.
It wouldn't be the first time I've heard that, so it's okay.
That's probably a very interesting part of what you do. Greetings, salutations. This woman is innovative. She's a solutionist. Don't you love that word?
That's a great
Yeah,
word. That's my new thing. I love it. Thank you for giving me that. I love that.
I say that because you are a guru of social media. And I don't know how long ago it was, but when I first started watching you, it was welcome to my house, dancing around in your little desk.
Before they, took the copyright away on Facebook Live, so I can't do music anymore.
Yeah. I can tell you, if you're not watching Chelsea Peitz, that's Peitz.
That's right.
You need to be watching her.
Thank
Chelsea, why do you do what you do? Why are you so obsessed with social media?
Well, it's funny because I never imagined that I would be using social media. In fact, I, worked a real grown-up job before Facebook even existed. So I didn't grow up with social media, and I am not a digital native. I haven't been using it my whole life, and it was something that I was very confused by. There was a lot of stuff that happens every single week. It changes all the time. And I always wanted there to be a place or a person that I could look to that could take the complication and the lingo and remove the jargon and just say, here's exactly what you do. And I didn't want to pay the $5,000, fee for them to give me the 3 bullet points that they promised in their teaser video. Just give it to me, just tell me what it is. I could probably Google it if I spent 40 hours Googling it. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people understand how to use this thing that we're all on. And I wanted it to be digestible, and I just wanted to give it all away because I wish somebody had done that for me.
Isn't it fun to give away information for free?
I love it.
Speaking of that, my co-host Haley Schuster, my Blue Line agent, we are both first responder wives. She is one of those agents that is, can I say it, a little terrified of the whole social media and the video. I get it. I guess because I love being center of attention, I don't have that problem. But Haley, looking at Chelsea and what she has built and the plethora of information, what do you love most? If you've had the chance to watch her stuff, what do you love most about Chelsea?
To be honest, I haven't had the chance to. Sadly, the whole time you were saying Chelsea, I thought you were talking about Title Chelssie.
Oh, geez.
So I was like, what? Social media?
This is how we
so
prepare
sorry.
for our podcasts, everyone. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So, but you are terrified, right? It's not easy.
And for me, there's obviously a different scope, which we've talked about the difference. Her husband's fire and mine's police. Well, people don't go after firefighters and their families. For me, there's a danger zone there too. How much can I share?
Right.
How open can I be? Even using my real name is kind of a risk. So it's terrifying.
Yeah. It is. And we have a lot more we want to share about first responders, especially Blue Line, which we'll get into later. But Chelsea, I've been dying to do this with you for a very long time. My famous 10 questions.
Oh, okay, I'm nervous.
If you're familiar with In the Actor's Studio, which I believe you and I are, I have taken the famous 10 questions and twisted them around so our audience can get to know you very, very quickly.
Let's do it.
As it pertains to social media, though, what is your favorite word?
Ooh, well, I think my new favorite one has to be Solutionist because I've never heard of it before, and I am going to start using it, so I will give you credit for that.
Nice.
It might be something having to do with Snapchat. It might be something like Snappable, because that was like the first time we ever had something that was totally camera first, real time, message enabled. And, even though people have migrated off of that platform and really kind of moved into Instagram stories, none of this would be happening right now had they not started it. So it probably would be some sort of word having to do with, oh, this is snappable, something like that.
In case you didn't know, Chelsea is the first to author and publish a book called Talking in Pictures, all about Snapchat.
Yeah, and it's about, how that platform changed how we communicate, changed human behavior, really.
So now she is using the Solutionist, and we're going to say that we
use
brought it
Solutionist. That's
to
my
the
next,
audience
my next
right
book
here,
title.
right now. Yes. Wait a minute. Let me
There we
use
go.
that one first.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is your least favorite word?
It would have to be something related to, well, probably influencer is my least favorite. Least
Sorry.
favorite word.
I have to agree.
And it's not that it's a negative or a bad word. It's an honor when it's bestowed on you by someone else.
Correct.
I think that we need to be very careful about words like influencer, sometimes even the word expert.
Yep.
And I try to come at it as, I have an expertise. Rather than saying I am an expert and other people give you sort of that moniker. But influencer and vanity metrics and followers, that whole world of pressure of feeling less than because of a number that has nothing to do with you as a human being and or the number of actual authentic relationships and conversations you're having.
Totally.
It's not really my thing.
I think it's become trendy instead of validated.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it's gone. So now I want you to put yourself in the place where you wake up in the morning or when you're getting ready to really work on a project. What turns you on?
I have a space in my house that nobody really goes into other than me. And I have my little coffee/wine room. And I remember when I was like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be my little area. And my husband's like, you're never going to use it. You're never going to be in there. You're going to waste buying these pieces of furniture for it. No, but I really do spend time in there. And I have my journal and I have, if I'm having my coffee in the morning, I'm a morning person. That's when my creativity hits me.
Nice.
And I also, as with a lot of people who are creative or artistic, I can't make it happen.
Right.
It hits me when it hits me.
Yep.
And so I have to sort of be ready. And it's sometimes frustrating. And that seems to be where it might happen for me. So journaling and getting up early in the morning and writing down ideas, that is usually where my creativity happens.
And this room, is it the one we get to see in all of those podcasts with the cool little stuff
No,
behind
that's
you?
my office, but you have seen it because you've seen my blue chairs in the back with
okay, everybody keep your eye out for the
once in a
special
while
private
you get
room.
the private room tour, but I actually haven't ever toured that room for that reason. Believe it or not.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have to have a contest, and the winner, the biggest fan, gets to tour the room. And,
Gets
All
to
right.
drink wine in the room.
Yes, there is wine in
Did
there.
someone say wine?
I know. That's what I pulled out
have
of that.
a beer for our next guest, if you'd like me to crack that. No, I'm just kidding. So along the same lines, what is your biggest turn off?
I think that sometimes I can, with my personality, I become overwhelmed with I got to get all this done. And I think some of that comes with being a mom and, a woman and a wife who's working. And
Which we're going to definitely get into in a second here.
So I think that it's not uncommon for, anyone to somewhat feel overwhelmed. But I'm like a lister. And I find looking at that long list and then I'm like, where do I start? So I've really now focused on what are the 3 things I need to do today? Not 30, not a huge list because then I get lost in the list. But I'll just do, here are the 3 things that I want to do. And something else that's helped my personality. people say, oh, you should start with like the big one first or whatever the most important is or the one you don't want to do. I pick the one I want to do the most, even if it's something that, I shouldn't be focusing on, because I feel like I got that done and I wanted to do it, and then I can move on to something else.
You have to love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
You do?
absolutely. Now, we will bleep this out, but what is your favorite curse word?
Oh, well, I'll tell you a story about that. So I went to pick up my little guy, and this was, I think, in preschool.
Nice.
This is before I went to kindergarten, and they said, yeah, Mrs. P, we need to talk to you for a minute. I said, yeah, and they're like, we really need you to stop saying at home.
I'm guilty too.
And I said, you know
yeah.
what? I said, that's absolutely my fault, and I'm absolutely not going to.
Yeah.
But what I will do is we'll talk about boundaries.
Yes.
And we'll only say that word at home, and we won't say it in school. And
Right.
since then, we have been good.
I love it. I could go on for a very long time on my favorite word, which happens to be the same one, but we don't have time for that today. That will be episode 36.
Okay, I love
The
it.
word and its many uses. Okay. What noise or sound do you love?
That is a good one. What noise or sound? Well, I sleep with noise. I can't have just a silent room. Otherwise, it's deafening to me almost. So I sleep to sounds of water. So I'll sleep to, and this is going to sound super nerdy, but I have this app and you can layer in different sounds. So I have regular rainstorm layered in with rain on roof, layered in with a very low wave in the background. So it's this very bizarre, recipe that I have, but I love that sound. I guess I'm not more sound person. I'm one of those people that could totally relax watching stuff on YouTube. Those videos where they're like, the slime and all of that. I'm not an audio.
AMSR.
I'm a visual, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm so relaxed now just watching them, squeeze that Play-Doh.
Yeah, I love that too. I don't know what it is. It's very satisfying.
Yes.
So what noise or sound do you hate?
Ooh, there's so many. Do I have to bring it down to just one?
Pick the one that just like, ugh.
Ooh, I'd say the sound of people eating.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Lord. Haley?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Or
sugar.
loud swallowers.
Ooh, yeah. Ugh.
And then when you hear the
Or like if they have like a really dry mouth and you can hear it. And
okay,
it's
so if you're
just-
going to meet Chelsea, do not be eating at the
Yeah,
same
I have a lot
time.
of weird sound things. Yeah, I have sounds I don't like and not so much that I do like, but I definitely know what I don't like.
So if you could choose like any profession, the one you're doing now is not an option. Any profession, like what you wanted to do as a little girl, what would it be?
It would definitely be something in the medical realm.
Interesting.
I thought, silly 20-something when you think, oh my gosh, I can't be a doctor. I'll be 30 by the time I graduate. I'll be ancient. And so I didn't do that. And I really wish that I would have, because I think it's very interesting. I like to figure things out.
Solutionist.
So it would definitely, fulfill me there. I like to help people. It would fulfill me there. And I just find it very interesting. I always have. I remember my mom, I remember being very young and watching like surgeries on TV, and my mom thought it was very unusual. So I like that. And I really wish I would have followed through with that. But of course, in my 21-year-old brain, I was thinking, I don't want to be 30 by the time I graduate. I'm going to be so ancient. And now I look back and think, gosh, 30 was so young.
Wow. So if the end of the world comes, I think you would be great to have on the team, because you would get right into the medical part of it.
I'm basically a doctor without the medical
There we
degree.
go. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
she's a Grey's Anatomy doctor.
Yeah.
There you
I mean,
go.
you know.
And she's hot too. So
I don't know how hot I'll be at the end of the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
well-
we might not have makeup and hairspray.
Hey.
It's like the Batman movie. The hairspray was toxic and everybody looked terrible.
But then we're all on the same level, so there's still
It's
going to be levels of beautiful even then.
It's true.
So- Now, this is one of my favorite questions. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Well, not to say a cop-out, because anyone who knows me is going to be like, that was too easy. But I truly would love to sit down with one of my inspirational mentors, who is Gary Vee. I mean, I've gotten the chance to meet him as an incredible
You spoke on
human
stage
being. But
with
just
him.
to sit down and have a conversation different than, the quick, hi, so nice to meet you. Thank you for everything you've done. I would really want to sit down with him because it pertains to my life at the moment and ask advice and what do you think about this and that and all of that. So I think Gary Vee would probably be my person.
I love that. It's a perfect segue into, the biggest question that I have for you is, how do you prepare? What's those first few moments before you go on stage? And what's fascinating is I think it was 3 years ago I started seeing you go up there and have your talks, your information, share your tips, your secrets, and you're so freaking good. You look like you're just casual, like you're out there. Hey friends, here I am, let's talk. It's beautiful to watch, and it fascinates me.
Well, I will tell you that speaking as a profession is a craft. It is in some ways like acting. It's you have to have the physicality with it. You have to move your body. You have to understand the stage. And the funny thing, and I think even you'll be surprised to hear this since you have seen me speak, is that I had a huge fear every time I would get on the stage.
Yeah.
And I would prepare, and I had my mental things and practicing and all of that. And then this year I found an amazing hypnotherapist, and
Yes.
I went to see him. He works with a lot of athletes, and speaking is sort of within there because it's very mental and you have to go through a performance and all
Haley,
of that.
get the name, write it down. We're making an appointment.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I went to him, and this was right before I went to the Gary Vee event, and
I remember.
yeah, and it was amazing. It was awesome, and it was an incredible experience. And if you have a fear of any kind, I would recommend it. I loved it. I thought it was really amazing. You go one time, and I was the next week. I was fine.
Love it. Okay, and what is his name or her name?
Dr. Adam Berry. I believe I'll have to double check this, but it's mindset hypnotherapy, I think. And he's in Scottsdale.
Love it.
He's amazing. And he has a British accent. So amazing.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
You've got 10 minutes. You're going out on stage. What are you doing right in that 10 minutes? What are you doing right then and there?
At this point, because I've been speaking for so many years, I have trained myself to stop thinking about it on purpose. Because what happens is you've gone over it so many times, you know what you're doing. And that is a technique that I learned through my coaching too, is that you have to just stop at some point. It's not, you already know it, you already created it. And so that pre-stage for me where I'm actually not thinking about it is what helps me relax and perform better. I actually perform better now, not looking at slides, not having any, preparation. But that's also because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So when you feel comfortable knowing what you're talking about, it's a bit of a different experience. But I truly try not to go over my lines or think about it. And I do a lot of emceeing. So I was just at a conference this last week, and there are people, I could feel their energy because I was introducing them, and nervous energy and talking really quickly.
Yeah.
And I think if you have the ability to center yourself before you do the thing, and that is something that you have to learn. It's difficult.
Sure.
It really changes the performance.
Love it. And that was going to be the next question. We, as career women, wives and mothers, I know I feel guilty a lot of the times, even if I'm in the same room. I have to hold my hand up to the kids because I'm working. And so I try to incorporate them with practicing different videos and different scenarios that I'm creatively making, even this podcast. Do you practice in front of your son, Mason, and your husband, Brian?
I don't practice in front of them for presenting. I don't do that. That is, presenting in front of somebody who knows you so well is probably like one of my worst fears of all time. Because they know you so well, and you do have a little bit of a different persona. So it's kind of weird for that person to see you in a little bit of a different way. But what I do try to do is, because I share so much of myself on social media.
The girl
I've
needs a talk show,
chosen to
people.
bring Mason into that, and that's something that we share together, and he enjoys it, and I love seeing his personality, and he's very creative, and I think that that's helped him get creative, thinking like, what can we do for this together?
So from what I see, and again, I'm a little bit of a stalker, I love what you do with your child. I think when I see him and his face and the different parts that you show, I want you to turn around. We have a little something here.
Okay, so Mason, if Mommy had a superpower, what would you say it is and why?
Love power, because like
Love
love
power.
power. My mom loves me. My mom is a kid. Well, I'm a kid, and that's my mom.
So your special power is love, and that's what he's learned from you. His first reaction was, "My mom is love."
Oh, that was awesome.
I wanted to show that, and I wanted to bring that up because we are trying to accomplish something for our family. We're trying to build a legacy. And yes, we may not be sitting and doing puzzles all day long and things that is my goal. 3 years from now, I'm going to be doing puzzles on the beach, I'm telling you, with my kids. They're going to be a little older, but we are building a legacy, and we shouldn't feel guilty about that.
We shouldn't, right? We should not feel guilty.
No.
I think it's a little bit hard at least every once in a while not to feel guilty because you always think you could be doing more. You always think you could be doing better. It's I don't know that will ever leave me, but what I will say is it's so funny. I just had this conversation last week with somebody who also watches, and people watch for him now, not for me. They're all they're watching for him, and they said it's interesting that he says he loves you so much, and I happen to just catch it, but it's interesting too because we say it all day, every day. In fact, he says, "Mommy, are you getting annoyed that I say it so much?" And I said, "Never, baby. We could never say it too much." So that makes me feel like it's an accomplishment.
Yep.
If we can be a family that says how much we all love each other all the time, and whether it's in public or out loud, that is, for me, an accomplishment. Because a lot of us didn't grow up like, that way. We had parents that absolutely loved us, but,
it was
different ways
different.
of articulating that. So.
Teaching them joy. I think that's our one responsibility.
Yeah.
Speaking of how we grew up, I am convinced, like I said, you need your own TV show because you're hilarious.
If anyone's
but
out there listening.
the 80s.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. They were
epic.
So cool.
epic,
I mean, the title of my show is That Bitchin' Real Estate Show.
Yeah.
You have a brilliant idea, which I still think we need to have a ride where you hop on the DeLorean and it takes you back in time to the amusement park
Absolutely.
of the 80s.
Yes.
Could you just give us some bullet points?
So excited about this idea. This is a true Shark Tank idea. So if any of the sharks are listening, we need to do this. So this was inspired by Stranger Things because they just did season 3 and the mall was epic with like the red carpeting in the mall. I mean, it was perfection from the 80s. And I feel that, one of the things I talk about with content all the time is that people relate to nostalgia.
Yep.
And if you can transport somebody back to a time, it's instant. They can feel it, they can hear it, they can smell it, and the feelings of joy that go along with it. So I thought, we have Disneyland, we love theme parks, I would totally overpay to go to a theme park that was an 80s theme park. Now, it has to be perfect. People have to be in the clothing, and I even went as far as I'm going to hire chefs who can remake the recipes of the stuff that we ate. Because they have like Twinkies and stuff now, and they have Hostess and all that stuff. But for me, it doesn't taste the same.
No, yeah.
It just doesn't taste the same. And we have to go way back. Even like the sodas, we'll have to get some sort of recipe.
Coca-Cola.
The
New Coca-Cola.
Coke.
Do you remember the Coca-Cola card?
Yeah.
I still have that.
And New Coke was the thing.
It was awful. I mean, sorry, Coca-Cola, but it was.
So that I believe people would pay for to go and experience that again.
Well, let's ask Haley. She's younger than us, and like by a long shot. We don't want to actually point it out, but Haley, as a young person, would you be curious to go to an 80s themed amusement park, kind of like Dollywood?
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, I have a ton of siblings. So my oldest sibling was 8 years older than me. So in some ways, I'm an old soul. So some of the things in Stranger Things I've remembered, even though I was born in 84. So will age me. That's fine.
She needs a 90s theme park.
But no, I would totally go back to the 80s. Like, even I still listen to like 80s country and
Ooh,
you know
80s
what I'm
country.
like.
What was 80? I don't remember 80s country.
I don't know.
Man, we
Tell us
had.
I mean, it's pretty honky tonk. But
so
to
Dolly
me,
Parton was big then.
You know what? For me though, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Motley Crue.
yeah.
I mean,
I grew up in a country town. I don't know. That was the only radio station that came in.
interesting. Well, girl, I need you to put your business plan together. We're gonna keep plugging away and talking about this. Get you on Shark Tank, but I love you. I'm obsessed with you.
Oh, thank
Again,
you.
she needs a talk show, people. And we're going to work on that too.
Okay,
So,
we're going to manifest it.
one of the things I always want to sign off with, because it hits close to home, it is not what you go through. It is how you come through it. Tenacious T.
Haley Schuster.
And the beautiful
Chelsea Peitz.
out.